The next senator will also play a large role when it comes to foreign policy. As I'm sure you're aware, last weekend the United Nations quickly condemned Israel for acts leading to the loss of life in international waters. If you are elected U.S. Senator, a U.S. Senator, will Israel always be right? Kelly?
Well, I will tell you that Israel, like other countries, has a right to defend itself. And it's always unfortunate when there's any loss of life. But they, in that circumstance, they were stopping arms from coming from Hamas into Gaza. Also, Hamas continues to shoot rockets into Israel, and they're defending themselves. I think we all need to be, whenever there's a loss of life, it's very tragic, but we have to respect Israel's right to defend itself. And I will absolutely evaluate every situation on its facts and its merits. And ultimately, when it comes to our national security, I have a fundamental disagreement with the administration right now. And that is that they are failing to stand with our allies, and they are trying to appease our enemies. And it is the wrong policy. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think we should ever apologize for the United States of America. And we need to, when it comes to foreign policy, to stand up for freedom and democracy as well. And when it comes to the people in Iran, when they were protesting in the streets, we should have been saying, we are with you. We believe in democracy and freedom, and we know that all you want is the freedom that we have and we have in this country. And I think that this president and this administration needs to take a very different tact when it comes to national security. And if I have the privilege of serving our state, I'm going to ask the hard questions when it comes to those issues. And I'm also going to ask the hard questions when it comes to terrorists, because there are still terrorists who want to kill us. And unfortunately, they are enemies of our country. It's not a man-made disaster. And I think we need to be in a position where we can protect our country from terrorists and acknowledge who they are and make sure that we have the best information to prevent future attacks.
No one can say any country will always be in the right. Good people try to be in the right and try to act in the best interest of their people and in an ethical manner. In this case, Israel was well within its rights to do what it did, and I think that it's getting a bad rap from certain people in our administration. We live in a very difficult time, and there's a widening gulf right now since in the past 18 months of the Obama administration. There's a widening gulf between the American government and all of our allies, whether it be Britain, Israel, Japan, South Korea. The gulf between America and our allies is getting deeper and wider, just as it is between all American citizens and the government. We citizens don't trust our government the way we used to. And our government has not always acted in a trustworthy manner. You know, America has responsibilities, a unique role in the world. There are at least a dozen hotspots that require American intervention and American influence. From nuclear proliferation in North Korea and Iran, to the war on terrorism in Afghanistan and Iraq, the decades-old conflict between Israel and some of its neighbors that would prefer that Israel not be allowed to exist. We have a number of things that require American influence, and America can't do any of these things by themselves. We have to do it in conjunction with our allies. And so it's very, very important that we act responsibly toward our allies, and we support our allies, especially when they're right. And in this case, Israel was well within its rights to do what it had to do to defend its country, and it's unfortunate that our administration has treated them so poorly.
James, I think you asked the question whether or not Israel is always right. And in matters of foreign affairs, international relations, no country is always right, except the United States of America, as far as I'm concerned. Now, having said that, in the context of Israel, let's recognize a couple basic things which contextualizes the answer. Israel is the only authentic democratic country in a very troubled region of the world. And they say that because that is their tradition. Democracy is in the DNA of the Israeli people. They believe in self-governance. They share so much of the same common values we do, and they do it authentically, not because they were browbeaten to it. We have to recognize that. That is such an important dynamic between the United States and Israel. They are fundamentally democratic like we are, in a very troubled region of the world. They acted within their rights, certainly, to protect themselves against the Gaza flotilla, which appears to be nothing more than a Trojan horse for those folks. They had people there who were terrorists in those boats, wanted to do them harm, and they were within their rights to protect themselves in international waters within their boundaries. And the people coming across were forewarned. And we should support Israel. We should not apologize for it or turn away the Prime Minister of Israel when he visits the White House. Can you believe the President did that? And yet he lets the President of Mexico denounce the people of Arizona. Denounce them. And then he goes to Congress to do the same thing without a word of objection. We've got to change course in Washington and make sure we have our priorities straight. And our priorities when it comes to the Middle East is to stand with Israel.
Thank you.